Do you know who's Zoro's absolute best friend? Well, that's exactly what we're going to find out in today's video by giving each One Piece character a friendship percentage on how close they are to Zoro. Starting with the ones who literally hate him and working our way up to the ones who are his absolute best friends. So let's get right into it with the first character, who's actually at a minus 10% friend percentage. And that's of course Pika. Yeah, Pika absolutely hates Zoro. Why? Because Zoro laughed at his squeaky voice. Yeah, we all know that if you laugh at Pika's low-pitched voice, you'll literally die. So Pika wants to see Zoro dead. But it's not like Zoro likes Pika either. He's one of Doflamingo's top executives and messed with Zoro's friends. So of course Zoro sliced right through his stone body. So Zoro and Pika are definitely not friends. Going from minus 10% to 0%, we've got King. Wait, I thought these guys respect each other. Yeah, you're right. By the end of their fight, both King and Zoro couldn't deny that they were both incredible swordsmen with some insane strength. But yeah, they still hate each other. Like when Zoro cracked King's mask, King got furious and started to despise Zoro as King saw him as beneath him. He insisted that Zoro, being a human, didn't stand a chance against him, and that he was biologically superior to Zoro thanks to his Lunarian bloodline. But Zoro, he absolutely hates that. For him, only effort and skill should decide who's stronger, not something you're just born with. So although they might respect each other's swordsman skills, they hate each other personally. But alright, let's talk about someone who is Zoro's friend, at least kinda, at 15%, and that's Mihawk. Mihawk truly believes in Zoro's potential as a swordsman, and he knows Zoro will one day be strong enough to challenge him. And Zoro, his dream is to surpass this guy. So that's why after the Marineford War, he swallowed his pride and begged Mihawk for training to get stronger. Although Mihawk literally laughed in his face at first, he ultimately agreed after seeing Zoro's determination for Luffy's sake. So yeah, these guys have spent 2 years together, training every single day, and they have grown pretty close. But yeah, Mihawk is a loner and Zoro is, well, Zoro. So although they have grown pretty close and have a lot of respect for each other, they are a long way from being best friends. Moving on, we've got Tashigi at 20%. We all know Tashigi looks scarily similar to Kuina, and that's a big problem for Zoro, as every time he sees Tashigi, she reminds him of Kuina, and it seriously pisses him off. Talking about pissing people off, Zoro also really pissed Tashigi off when they first met at Logtown and Zoro won their fight. Still, other than being a pain in each other's ass from time to time, as Zoro is a pirate and Tashigi is a marine, they both have respect for each other. And after Tashigi saw how Zoro protected her from Monet at Punk Hazard, she realized he was actually a pretty good guy after all. So now, they not only respect each other as swordsmen, but they have become somewhat of friends. Going from 20% to 25%, we gotta talk about Killer. Although, yeah, at first, Killer was basically at 0%. Like, these guys were straight-up enemies as Killer literally tried to hunt down Hiori and Tama, and when Zoro stepped in to protect them, he even tried to kill Zoro too. But fast forward to Onigashima, Zoro and Killer teamed up and fought side by side against Kaido and Big Mom, and even showed off some really nice teamwork. So they obviously respect each other's strength, and if you show this kind of teamwork, you gotta be friends. Next up, let's talk about Kushiro, at 50%. Kushiro is Zoro's old mentor and teacher, who not only taught him sword techniques, but also discipline and the true meaning of being a swordsman. Oh, and Kushiro even passed down the legendary sword Wano Ichimonji to Zoro after his daughter Kuina died at the hands of the legendary Down D Stairs. So Zoro obviously got a lot of respect for his old mentor, and Kushiro is incredibly proud of the man Zoro has become, and he recognizes how crazy strong he's gotten. Still, although they both respect each other a lot, Kushiro is more a mentor and teacher to Zoro than a best friend. Moving on, we gotta talk about Koby, at 70%. Remember when Zoro was tied up by the Marines at Shellstown? Well, Koby was actually the one who freed him, although Luffy was of course the one doing the heavy lifting. And although Koby was absolutely terrified of Zoro at first, because of his scary reputation as a pirate hunter, after freeing him, Koby realized Zoro was actually a really nice guy. So these guys became good friends. Koby even admired Zoro for his crazy strength. When they then met again at Water 7, they were both happy to see each other, and Zoro was impressed by Koby's insane glow-up and respected his grind. Oh, and Koby will also never forget how Zoro was one of the people who helped him become a Marine. Another character at 70% is Nefertari Vivi. Yeah, you might have thought Vivi should be a bit lower. I mean, she did literally try to kill him at Whiskey Peak. But after seeing his strength and how he helped Vivi take Alabasta back from Crocodile, Vivi now likes Zoro a lot. I mean, she's basically a Straw Hat, so of course they're really close. However, although Zoro likes and respects her, he wasn't exactly heartbroken when she chose to stay in Alabasta. While the rest of the crew were all sad and depressed, Zoro straight up said they should have just taken her by force if they wanted her to stay that badly. Oh, and after hearing about King Cobra's death and Vivi going missing, he stayed calm, telling everyone to relax and trust that Vivi could handle herself. Although yeah, the others attacked him for sounding like he didn't care about her. Anyway, they both consider each other as good friends. Next up, at 75% is actually Trafalgar Law. Yup, although Law can get super annoyed by Zoro's recklessness, just like with Luffy, these two have built a bond of trust and respect, and they actually care about each other a lot. Like during the fight against Kaido on top of Onigashima, Law saved Zoro's life more than once, and he literally even said he'd rather see the whole mission fail than let Zoro and the others die. On top of that, they have some really nice teamwork, they trust in each other's strength, and they've become good friends. Zoro also wants Law to be his drinking buddy, although, yeah, Law would probably die if he drank as much as Zoro. Continuing with 75%, we've got Kazuki Hiori. After Zoro saved her life, Hiori was amazed by Zoro's strength, and she not only respects him, but she likes him a lot. Like she took care of him, treated his injuries, kept him warm, and washed him after he got injured. And Zoro, he actually also likes Hiori a lot as well, and he's grateful for everything she's done for him. Although he did get jump scared waking up and seeing her sleeping with him. Anyway, don't forget that Hiori gave Zoro Enma, her father's legendary sword. And if you give a sword like this to Zoro, you're easily going to be one of his best friends. So yeah, he likes her, and Hiori sees Zoro as a very important person in her life, and is incredibly grateful for everything Zoro has done for her and for the country Wano. Staying at 75%, let's talk about our first Straw Hat in this video, and that Straw Hat is Jinbe. Yeah, these guys haven't interacted all that much, but they have a lot of respect for each other. Like Jinbe really respects Zoro for his strength and for always having Luffy's back. And Zoro, he will always remember that Jinbe was there and giving his all to keep his captain safe during the Marineford War. So when Jinbe finally joined the crew, Zoro was genuinely happy about it. And although, as I said, they don't interact all that often, they're still close and consider each other as good friends. Another Straw Hat we need to talk about is Nami, and she's at 78%. Now, these guys, of course, care about each other a lot. Like Zoro will always be there to protect her, and Nami knows that and truly respects his insane strength. That said, Zoro's literally terrified of her. Yeah, he's literally called her a witch as she's always smacking him around. Oh, and don't forget that Nami loves manipulating him into charging him 3 times the money he borrows from her. Not only that, but Nami is not a fan of Zoro's lazy attitude. Like Zoro's constant napping on the ship drives her crazy, and don't even get her started on how he's always getting lost. So yeah, they care and respect each other. But Nami just can't be higher than 78%. But someone who is higher than 78% at 80% is Franky. These guys have a lot of respect for each other, and Franky thinks Zoro's strength is incredible. And we all know Franky loves the Sunny, right? Well, as Zoro's always protecting the ship, even waking up from naps just to block attacks, Franky's got a lot of respect for him for keeping it safe. And Zoro, he's grateful to Franky for coming in clutch and saving his life by catching him when he fell off Onigashima. Although, Zoro thinks Franky can be pretty annoying and embarrassing when Franky wants Zoro to call him bro. Still, these guys don't interact all that much, but it's clear they respect and care about each other, and they both know they can always count on each other when it matters. Moving on, let's talk about another Straw Hat. This time, we gotta talk about Brook, and he's at 85%. Although at first, Zoro wasn't actually thrilled that a living skeleton would join the crew. But over time, these guys have grown really close. Like, Brook is super thankful to Zoro for helping him get his shadow back after defeating Ryuma, and Brook's got so much respect for Zoro after knowing how Zoro offered his life to save Luffy from Kuma. And Zoro, he respects Brook as another skilled swordsman, but yeah, he also loves to mess with him. If you didn't know, Zoro literally calls Brook Grandpa, since Brook is 69 years older than him. Although Brook really doesn't like that. Still, they respect and care for each other. Now we gotta talk about Usopp at 90%. These guys are really close friends. Don't forget that Zoro was actually the first one to tell Usopp at Syrup Village to get on board the Going Merry. Anyway, Usopp sees Zoro as this super strong guy, so whenever the crew's in danger, Usopp just hides behind him. But when Zoro gets mad at him, like for being a coward, Usopp gets terrified. Still, Zoro likes Usopp a lot and will always have his back. But, although he likes him, he doesn't have that much respect for him. Zoro won't forget how Usopp disrespected Luffy's authority as captain when they had their fight of the fate of the Going Merry. Plus, he doesn't like how much of a coward Usopp can be. Anyway, let's move on to someone else at 90%. Nico Robin. If there's one person Zoro's always ready to defend, it's Robin. Like whenever Robin's in trouble, Zoro's always there to step in. And don't forget when Enel zapped Robin back in Skypiea, Zoro was absolutely furious and wanted some serious payback. So Zoro respects Robin and sees her as one of his closest friends, which Robin also does. She's of course grateful for all the times Zoro saved her, and she'll never forget how Zoro fought for her at Enies Lobby. So she'll always see Zoro as family and never forget what he's done for her. Continuing at 90%, we've got the Ghost Princess Perona. At first, they were of course enemies, but after Zoro landed on Kuraigana Island, unconscious and completely wrecked, Perona took care of him and nursed him. But yeah, the second he woke up, they started arguing non-stop. Still, as Zoro's literally spent more time with Perona than any of the Straw Hats, they of course grew really close. Like Perona even helped Zoro get back to Sabaody, because let's be honest here guys, Zoro would have never found his way back to Sabaody without her help. She even held off the Marines so he could escape. So they obviously respect and care about each other a lot, although Perona can get super annoyed by how stupid Zoro is and that he always gets lost. Moving on, let's talk about Chopper at 98%. Chopper looks up to Zoro and thinks he's super cool. Like at Long Ring Longland, when Zoro yelled at him to stop crying, Chopper didn't get upset. He instead just toughened up because he just respects Zoro that much and wants to make him proud. And we all know Zoro's not the emotional type, but he's definitely got a soft spot for Chopper. So whenever Chopper gets hurt, like when Ohm attacked him, Zoro saw red. Not only does he care about Chopper, but he also respects him for always giving his best, and for being there to patch him up whenever he's injured. That said, Chopper hates it when Zoro doesn't listen to him when he's injured, and whenever Zoro acts like he doesn't care when crew members go missing, Chopper literally wants to fight him. Plus, Chopper can absolutely get on Zoro's nerves. Anyway, we've now finally hit 100%, and that means we're talking about Zoro's absolute best friends. And first up, it's, of course, Luffy. After Luffy freed Zoro at Shell's Town, Zoro became his right-hand man, and since then, they have been side by side. Like they both always have each other's back, and they would literally die for each other, which we clearly saw during Zoro's iconic nothing happened moment when he took all of Luffy's pain from Kuma and honestly should have died. Anyway, Zoro might call Luffy an idiot at times as Luffy's recklessness can be really annoying. Still, Zoro trusts his captain's decisions and follows him without question, as he knows Luffy will one day become the king of the pirates. And Luffy literally trusts Zoro with his life. Like, don't forget when he relied on Zoro to keep Kaido busy while he took a nap to recover. That pretty much says it all, right? Now, the guy you've all been waiting for, also at 100%, Sanji. Although, yeah, they absolutely hate each other sometimes. Like, they can't stop bickering and fighting over literally everything. Hunting, bounty rankings, you name it. Oh, and Zoro literally never calls Sanji by his name. But despite all that, these guys are definitely best friends, and they care about each other. A lot. Like, do you even remember that when Zoro was about to sacrifice himself to Kuma, Sanji tried to take his place, but Zoro didn't want Sanji to get hurt, so he took it upon himself and knocked Sanji out. And when Sanji called Zoro after his Germa modifications started kicking in, he asked him to kill him if he lost his emotions, with Zoro saying he'd do it, but only after telling him not to die before that. So, although they're always at each other's throats, when it really counts, they've always got each other's backs, as these two are brothers. If you don't agree with me, just think about Dory and Brogy, who literally fought for 100 years over an argument. Still, they are definitely best friends. Next up, let's talk about Johnny and Yosaku, who's also at 100%. Yeah, you probably thought these guys would be at like infinite percent, right? I mean, they literally call Zoro Big Brother and think he's the coolest and the strongest guy in the entire world. Yeah, I'm talking about the entire world. Like, they were completely confident Zoro would win the fight against Mihawk, but after he lost and was injured, they cried their eyes out. And Zoro, although he thinks they can be annoying, he sees them both as really good friends. So as Johnny and Yosaku absolutely love Zoro, and Zoro does see them as good friends, they gotta be at 100%. Now, we've still got one character left who's Zoro's absolute bestest of friends at 110%. Can you guess who it is? Well, it's of course, Kuina. Zoro saw Kuina as his true rival. Like, these guys literally fought over 2,000 times. But yeah, Zoro lost every single one of them. Anyway, when Kuina then told him that he would eventually become better than her because he was a boy, he got really angry and told her that if he ever beat her, it's because of his skills, not because he was a boy. And that meant everything to Kuina. And that day, they promised each other that one of them would become the greatest swordsman in the world. So although they saw each other as rivals, they were also best friends. But unfortunately, the very next day, she had been killed by Down D stairs. So instead, Zoro promised her that he would carry their promise and become the greatest swordsman ever for the both of them. So yeah, without Kuina, there's no Zoro. So she has to be at 110%. How much do you like Zoro? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and watch this video next.